Dear team of Chhello, welcome to the show. First of all, I'm very, very, very proud of the entire team. And to tell you the truth, at the cost of sounding like a crybaby, I actually cried at the end of the film. And I proudly flaunted my tears in the premiere where everybody was there. मैंने कहा यार ये आंसू पोंछने की जरूरत नहीं है. It means कि film बहुत अच्छी है. So tell me, it is India's official entry at the Oscars this year. And you must be very happy, at the same time very, very busy. What are you doing to make sure that it reaches the right eyeballs there and it is selected at the Oscars?
So yeah, I think that while it's been an absolute moment of celebration for us, and the last few weeks have been beyond surreal, the kind of support and love we've gotten from everyone in India, people from the industry, from audiences who've gone to see it in the cinema. I think for all three of us, we had our brief moment of celebration when the announcement happened and we got right to work because this is where really the campaign kicks off in America. We have our international sales agent, Orange Studio. They are a French company and they've won, I think, about 7 or 8 Oscars in the last 5-6 years for films like The Artist and The Father. And our US distributor who acquired the film, Samuel Goldwyn Films, they have been nominated for 4 Academy Awards and one foreign language Oscar 2 years ago. So I feel like, their expertise, along with, of course, Sid's expertise, he's someone who's navigated both Indian and international markets extensively.
Absolutely. Pan, let me come to you. I have to tell you this. As soon as I watched the film, it's a Gujarati film and I saw it with subtitles. And the next day what I did was I booked a lot of tickets and then I put it in the group of my friends and family and the building also. Ki bhai, mere paas itne tickets hain. I want all the kids to watch this film. And you don't have to do anything. I will take everybody. And then I took all the kids to watch the movie. And they were young, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. पता नहीं किसको कितनी समझ में आई होगी, but I know कि this film will remain at the back of their mind till they grow up.
Honestly, I didn't even know there was something called Bachcho Ki Film when I was small. I wish I knew any such thing. I thought they were filmed for everyone, and sometimes there were adult movies being screened with A certificate, and the security guard used to stand with sticks and will not allow anyone to enter. And we could never figure out, what is this A certificate meant. And those days, the A was very pronounced, like big one, Yeah. It was also to attract all the young audiences. So yeah, I don't know. When I was making it, definitely it was inspired from my childhood and the stories and what was I collected over the years. Series of stories from my friends and family, and also my projectionist friend whose name was Mohammed Bhai. So, there was a mix of many such things, but I knew that it had to remain there, the 9 to 10. Somewhere I thought that unlearning was little important, that life used to be so simple. The stories used to be so simple, just couple of matchboxes and you could create a story. When did it got so complicated? I've been to some of the conference room in LA with 20 executives telling you about story arc and it just gets me sometimes, that how and the obstacles, and everything they've read in the book, and I realized the storytelling was so simple. It used to come naturally to not only me but all the friends who were there and the colleagues. So I wanted to find that joy in telling the story without trying not to be pretentious, but at the same time the Samay's journey is pretty simple. He is blown away by the power of cinema, and then he does all in his power to achieve his dream. But at the same time, adult filmmaker in me had a second or third layer to pay conscious and unconscious homage to all the filmmakers whom I have loved over the years, which varied from maybe it's Manmohan Desai to Tarkovsky to Maya Deren. Yeah.
And I'm comparing it with a couplet. It says कि रगों में दौड़ने फिरने के हम नहीं कायल, जो आँख ही से न टपका वो लहू क्या है. So we don't need a script that has to be very high budget or a high many multi-layer. which you just need a simple story that tugs at your heart. And Chhello is one film like that. I personally loved it so much. Siddharth, you have been one of the most prominent names in the Hindi film industry. You have been the managing director of Walt Disney Company for a long time. You've also been the president of the Producers Guild of India for 6 terms. 6 terms, imagine. You know very well what a good film is, what will do well at the box office, which film has a high chance of winning at the national awards or a commercial award, mainstream award, critical awards. When you associated your Roy Kapur films with the brand, with Chhello, how did you imagine the future of the film after that, after the association?
I think what you and Nalin were talking about just now, about the simplicity of just having an emotional reaction to something being the most important thing. That's exactly what happened with me. And since I saw your face immediately after you saw the film when it came out of the cinema hall, I think my face looked quite similar to yours. It was puffy and my eyes were red, and I was very, very moved emotionally. And that really was my reaction to the film as well. It's such a beautiful story, so simply told. The way that Nalin has managed to capture as he put it, the innocence as well as the ignorance of childhood, where you feel like anything is possible wherever you might come from. You can live out whatever dreams you need to, and you don't believe that there can be any obstacles in your way, and you encounter those obstacles and you just brush them away and you keep going. Till obviously you grow up and you encounter more obstacles and you have a more jaded view of life. So the way that he was able to capture that, I think really spoke to me. All the other decisions about whether it will be India's official selection and national awards and all those things came later. Obviously, after watching the movie, one did believe that it had the potential to do really well with the Academy, and one was hoping that the Film Federation of India would select it as the official entry, and we're so fortunate that they did, and now we intend to put our best foot forward to make sure that it goes all the way.
But when I heard about the film Chhello about 3 to 4 weeks earlier than the release, at that time there was this rumors about it being not more than an inspiration, a copy, or so many words were given to it while it was being compared to Cinema Paradiso, actually the film that it has been inspired from. And if you read about the film in a one line, a boy who comes back in his hometown, and the movie hall where he used to watch the theaters. So that premise seems very similar. But when I watched the film, I realized that it can be called a hat-tipping film, where you're paying a homage or respect, and you just giving your version to the same idea of a story, but it was not a copy. So when you had taken it up, did you fear that it will be compared to Cinema Paradiso, and how will the publicity roll out or things like that before it is finally watched by people?
Not really, because as you said, it's a film about falling in love with the movies, and when you make a film about that, that's obviously something that happens to you at a very early age. So inevitably you will be compared to a film like Cinema Paradiso, which is a beautiful film and also one of my favorites, where anyone who encounters the magic of cinema for the first time, it does happen to you in childhood. The film just moved me so much, regardless of the fact that I've seen Cinema Paradiso as many times as I have. And like you said, it felt more like a hat tip to it rather than anything else. So that didn't trouble me at all.
When Lagan had gone for the Oscars in the foreign language film category, the making of that film also got a national award in India. The making of Lagan got a national award in India, and the entire team actually had to park there for many, many weeks to spend time there, meet as many Academy members as possible, talk about their film, things like that. When I searched this film on internet and various platforms, I don't get too much material about the film in terms of making or interviews or things like that. So are you going to invest a little more on online platforms about the movie, so that just to pique more interest in the minds of viewers and even the Academy members?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you pointed out the right question. We've been discussing it. The making of our film should be a film in itself. And as the making of most films are, because it is a very sort of passionate medium. and a lot is sacrificed. People spend months away from home, often in remote locations. Like in our film, you're staying away from your loved ones for 6-7 months. The crew becomes your family. So of course, within that, there's a lot of high tension moments, a lot of love. So I feel like, our making is going to be, I think, in itself a cinematic journey to watch. I feel like, the point also is that we're always excited as filmmakers to put out behind the scenes or making of films. But there's two things with that. One is we also don't want to sort of disrupt the magic that you get from watching the film, because sometimes you watch a film and it's great and you don't really, once you start figuring out how everything was done behind the scenes, for me at least personally, it loses that magic unless it comes at the right time. So even with the Lagan, I love that documentary, by the way. I think it's called like Madness in the Desert or something. It's a great documentary, but it came years after the film actually came out. So once the film had achieved some sort of cult status, then you supplement this, obviously times have changed and now we are going to be looking at distributing some of our behind the scenes stories on digital platforms. But, we're hoping that our time in LA will also be a film in itself. And we get to continue telling that behind the scenes stories for years to come.
When a movie is in the race for the biggest awards arguably the biggest awards in the world, what are the necessary qualities that a film must have or the team must have for the film to win?
Overall, as a filmmaker, I've always made film which should reach to maximum audience. Awards, festivals, Oscar, well, if they come along, they are the great milestones to have in the journey of a movie. But for me, when I make a film, I don't plan that. Now we are really excited that, this is India's entry. Now, as far as the academy is concerned, I think very often, maybe it's not clarified in media that it is the American Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, where 95% of awards are given to the American movies or movies linked to the America or English language features. So the whole, it all depends on those 9,000 to 10,000 academy members, what mood they are in, what's going on in their lives. Because it just might be that they might be interested this year in movies about gun culture, because a lot of lives have been lost in last 6 months, like never before. The gun violence have totally exploded in the US and a lot of young students, and that's the only discussion you hear among the academy members. So if there is a movie which comes out which somewhere tackles this violence and, so suddenly they might just favor that film. They might want to go and talk about Ukraine, because no one is talking about it. So it's not only the quality, of course, because the quality of the film is the most important. And I'm hoping that every country does send their best of their movie. So there will be good quality of films. But in the end, there are a lot of factors are there which decides, what academy members are going to vote. And they come from a very different cinematic grammar as well, than ours, which is very different, because it will be a long story to go back to the history of how cinema arrived in our culture, how it incorporated tamasha, drama, natak, bhavai, and, it all turned into something very unique and indigenous, which is very Indian, songs, the dance, and, and so certain kind of cinema for academy member will be very hard to digest. I know that one of the first questions American producers have asked who have never come to India, that what is this obsession with Indian heroes about mother? Why do they always give vachan to maa ko vachan deke main jaunga? They don't get it at all. They find it like, it's like, he even forgets his girlfriend, but give vachan to mother, So, and I said, oh, that I never thought about it. But, if you go into that context, because I said, what happens to you when you watch such a scene? They say, it takes me out of the movie. Now we as an Indian, it will draw us in, to the movie. So these little details play a long way. We could even have a supernatural horror movie in India, and a woman with candle can sing a song and we'll be still scared. This will be unthinkable in, I think, Western cinematic grammar, I think, I may be wrong, but, they would just laugh it off, So even when it comes to musical, they, for them, the playback singing is not perceived as a positive thing. You know, they think if you make a musical like Star is Born, then Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper, they have to sing a song. You know, whoever, you know, I mean, the actors must sing their song. So there are way too many differences to compare what. I think we should just keep doing what we do the best, you know. And I don't think there is any formula to make a movie for Oscar or Cannes or any such festival. You know, we have to just make our movies. And I would say the other way, that why not we have our own awards, which are equally important. You know, you can see the rise of BAFTA in across the world now, you know, which are the British award, you know, and next in the lines are the César, you know, like in most of the Latin American countries are super happy to win César. It's like winning Oscar, which are the French award, because in Latin American culture, they look at French cinema as esteemed as high as American cinema. So if any Brazilian or Mexican film wins César, it gets a front page news, you know, and we don't even know what is César, you know, in India. So I think it's every country have their award, and you know, and Oscar international feature. We are going to try and bring our film, hopefully, and do our best, as Sid and Dheer said. But rest, there are too many other assets at work, and hope all the star align and they love last film show, you know.
And lastly, Siddharth, Roy Kapur Films recently made a very nice web series called Rocket Boys. You know, Irfan was a dear friend, and he once told me when he goes to America or Europe, any other continent, one question that often filmmakers ask him is कि तुम्हारे सिनेमा में तुम्हारे चेहरे क्यों नहीं होते, मतलब कि very very Indian, थोड़ा सी सांवली लड़की हो, you know, you don't need to be a very well built person with all those six-pack abs to look like a hero. Even the films that are being released, the films that Hindi speaking audiences are lapping up a lot these days are the South Indian films, and there the actor, the hero doesn't have to be fair. The women don't have to be like spotless. They still have pimples on their face, and yet they dance and come on the screen so beautifully. So when we talk about Indian films, the Indianness of the visual sometimes is compromised. So you being a content creator who shapes up our imagination, do you think Irfan was right when he said that?
Well, I think there is definitely some truth to that. And I suppose that's because of the fact that our films have been fantasy films in many ways for many, many decades, till the last 2 or 3 decades, when parallel cinema movement came in and more realistic cinema started getting made. At least, I mean, it used to happen on the fringes, but it's become much more mainstream now. And therefore, yes, that idealized version of handsomeness and beauty, where you had North Indian male film stars and you had South Indian female film stars, and it looked like there were no other Indians that existed other than these two species. That I think is a very welcome change that's happened over the last, I wouldn't say few years, I'd say few decades actually, where you've had a lot more authentic people representing diverse parts of the country.
Yes.
Can we do better? Sure, we can. Of course, we can. But I think the streaming, boom that's happened in the last 5 years has really propelled these changes quite significantly, and we're seeing that reflected in the popular cinema, culture as well now. And the fact that now you've had a lot more South Indian films crossing over to the north is one more indication that people are now much more open to watching heroes who don't necessarily look like them or look like their idealized version of what a film hero or heroine should be. So that I think is a very, very positive thing. So there probably is some truth in what Irfan says, and it's only when you look at yourself from the outside in that you can tell these things. It's very hard for all of us who've grown up in this culture to really be reflective of it. But it's a very good time now, I think, where we are being more diverse and much more representative than we've ever been.
Wonderful. And to talk about Roy Kapur films, Siddharth, what is in the kitty? What are you? What's there that's coming up in the next few months?
So we've got quite a bit going on across films as well as series. Our focus now, of course, like Dheer said, is really on last film show till the rest of this year. We've got Pippa coming up, which is a film based around the 71 war. We've got a few comedies in the pipeline. We've got the second season of Rocket Boys coming up. We've got the second season of Aranyak as well, and lots of other movies and series in development. But yeah, the next few months are going to be all about last film show.
Wonderful. And Mr. Nalin and Mr. Momaya, I'm assuming that we have won the Oscars. Now, how does your kitty looks like? How will your career be planned after that? Tell me what is in your mind that is still yet to take shape.
I mean, at Jugaad, we're producing a bunch of stuff. We have a series at Netflix it's like a young adult drama comedy that's coming out mid next year, in the summer of next year. We have another one in development. And we're also filming a really high-end sports documentary on one of the most incredulous characters of Indian cricket, which will be announced soon. So we're quite excited about that. Yeah.
Would you like to tell us who's that?
I couldn't. I really want to. I've been really wanting to, but I couldn't. It's going to be announced soon.
Okay. And one thing I actually want to talk about you, like Dilip Kumar Sahab, he was considered as one of the key castings in a very popular Hollywood film.
Lawrence of Arabia.
Lawrence of Arabia.
He was considered for Omar Sharif's role.
Omar Sharif.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Correct. So, for a very long time, it's Indians have been looked at in a particular way. The Indian women have been like, from our subcontinent, the women are very exotic, and they also have a view of Indian men. Like, for example, the brown, black man, a little raw, rustic. How does the West look at Indian cinema now? One, we've come a long way in the last 15 years. Our scripts have also improved, and they've become so much finer than they were in the 90s. How do they look at us now?
There are two types of foreigners. The one who have come to India, they see it differently. They understand a little bit better. But the one who haven't come to India, they just don't get it. They have very hard time. And mostly my women friends in France and Italy complain that, how can you love these guys? They are not good looking. So why are they big stars? So we are trying to make peace with that. We thought India, you have like country of beauty, and so this is a very Italian and French perception of what should be the man, who is sensual. He said, look at your women; they are so gorgeous on the screen, and you have an amazing cast of women. But when it comes to guys, why do you always get it wrong? So I don't think we can. I think when you travel, you should have this discussion. I thoroughly enjoyed while I go and talk to everyone, especially when I meet producer with whom I have to spell out who is Shah Rukh Khan. It gets really exciting, So, and then they say, okay, I'll go back home and watch a couple of movies. So I think there are a lot of parallel, universe which exists, in the movies. And I think there are perception. I think it's exactly the same way when we in popular cinema portray British or French, they laugh at, and the same way we also laugh when in the American movies or British movies, the way the Indians are portrayed. There is just not enough, I guess, research is done.
Representation.
Yeah, that's why I would say hats off to Richard Attenborough, who was able to make Gandhi here, an exceptional film and get like a lot of things right in the film without, sort of taking someone out of the movie. Yeah.
Interesting. So please tell those women, like you love your Muhammad Ali's and Will Smith and Denzel Washington. We love our men. We just love our men, and they're doing a great job in Hindi cinema. So thank you all. I wish Chhello, the last film show, the very best of luck. And I really, really, really wish it makes it to the Oscars, the foreign language film category, and it comes back with the Oscar. I'm waiting. Okay, you better come back with that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.